Dude. Um, Thank you for putting up with me. This is our third attempt, but so far so good. We kind of gave it like a 5 minute dry run, and I can still see you. I can still hear you. So thank you so much for putting up with all my bullshit. I appreciate
That's all good,
it. You're
man.
still here. So Stephen Portee, ladies and gentlemen, if you just want to go into a little bit of your background, how'd you get into training? You can, tell us how we met when we were both working at Retro Fitness. Neither of us are there anymore, so you can just kind of take us through, a little bit of your history, and then we can just dive into whatever you want, man. Talk about you're working at it's Athletes Warehouse.
Yeah.
Okay, it's in New York. You're talking about. You were just telling me, off screen for a second that you're doing like throwing programs with kids, because they don't have fall ball or whatever. So we can just dive into whatever. So I'll let you take it from here, man.
Cool, man. Basically, how did I get started in training? Oh, so I mean, I went to school for like in my undergrad is completely non-related to this. I graduated with a bachelor's in international relations with a minor in economics. I worked in business for a couple years in a cubicle. Basically realized that I was miserable and I hated it. Like just for some reason, sitting in one spot in a building that doesn't really have windows, it doesn't do it for
I
me.
can't even imagine why that would be, right?
Yeah, like it's horrible. I don't know how people do it every day. Like kudos to them. Like I get it. I get it. They make way more money probably than I do, but like there's no way that I can do that. Like
That's
just
got
the
to be
quality of life
that's got to be
sucks.
it, right? Like,
Yeah, that's I think that's
no,
the
I
only
don't think
reason.
anyone's actually happy doing that. But
Dude, when I was
my
there,
personal
like
opinion,
there were people who were miserable, but they were like, yeah, but it's a check, It's like, this life's too short for that.
right? Yeah.
So basically, I quit that job, and I was just like, you know what? I've always loved working out. That's when I felt at home in the gym. So I was like, I'm gonna go be a personal trainer. Like, this is what I'm gonna do. I have a passion for it. So, just basically, I jumped off the cliff and just went
Yeah, boy.
headfirst into it. Unfortunately, I chose a very poor company to work for, which
It
was
happens to be
EFT,
you and me both.
where me and you met at Retro Fitness,
Yeah.
and
Oh, that's
it
right.
was
Yeah, I forget. I always forget that. Like, we actually, when we met, we weren't actually employed by Retro Fitness. We just
yeah, it
worked
was
there.
EFT,
Yeah,
yeah.
which
So that,
they had changed because when I came, it was Resolution or Revolution or whatever the hell.
yeah, so it was Resolution Training when
Yeah,
you got there, yeah, because they were basically like it was EFT first, but the company was so bad, and they had such a bad reputation. Even if you
yeah.
look them up on like Glassdoor or something like that,
Oh god.
everybody was like horrible company, like horrible management
Yeah,
and
it
all
was
this stuff.
just they didn't care about anyone. It was just
Yeah.
sell, push the sell,
It,
push the. Every time I went home, I was just like took off every. I needed a shower. I was just like, oh my god.
just felt so dirty. So
Yeah.
the one thing that I did like about the company, which is probably like the reason that you hated it, was that the trainers didn't have to sell at all. It
Oh,
was
I know.
all up to the
That's all I
management.
had to do. It
Yeah.
was. I was just. Oh my god. Yeah. Anyway.
So I was like, all right, I don't have to sell. Like that's
Yeah.
great. And then I would watch you sell, and I'm like, oh, Lynn looks pretty miserable, man.
Yeah. I remember pretty early on because I had just started that. My brother had just graduated like from college and like he got his
Mhm.
first job in the city. He was working at like Yelp, and I don't think you've ever met my brother before, but if you know him, like cold calling people to try and sell ad space is like the last thing that this kid has ever wanted to do. Like he actually like he'd be more happy and actually did. He like worked at like a farmer's market, like he kind of like managed a farmer's market or something like that for
Hmm.
like a little bit of time. And it was just he was like the happiest I've ever seen. Like so like we were both going through a period where like I was doing that and I just felt like fucking dirty because all the like it was a sales company. It wasn't a personal training company. It was just a sales company that happened to sell personal training.
Hmm.
And we had those like sales calls where we'd have to go
Yep.
on. It was like these like pump up speeches and stuff.
Yep.
Like you had to post your numbers on like the WhatsApp, and I was just like,
Yeah.
what is happening? Like this is not like here to help anyone. Like this is
Yeah.
gross.
And,
Meanwhile,
and
I like probably ended up making like less money salary wise than like I was personal training,
oh yeah.
and I was just like, this is terrible. I
Yeah.
hated everyone there. Not you, obviously, but like everyone who was like the management and all that stuff. Oh god, it was gross. But like I got to
Yeah.
meet you and Kyle and Lance, and So like definitely made some friends out of it. So yeah, man. I remember anyway. I think I went off on a tangent here, but like me and my brother were just like comparing, like just wanting to like what are we doing? like
Yeah,
this
dude,
is not why we got into like the fields that we did. Like this, like I like was jealous of you because I was just like, that's what I want to do. I want to work with people and like train them. And my job is essentially just a glorified salesman. And
yeah. Well, remember that's what like that was like Kyle. Remember here, he thought he was getting hired for training. He got hired to be like the manager, and he was like, I
yeah,
just want to train people. I don't want to sell. But yeah, so we were working there, and then I was as I was training, the deeper I got into the field and the more knowledge I was looking up and getting, I realized that I didn't just want to be a personal trainer. I wanted to be a little bit more.
sure,
And I felt like there was a time, and obviously like we talked about this, where I was just like I felt like I was outgrowing retro fitness. So
understandable.
I started looking up internships, and I actually this is when we were working together too, because I
Yep,
remember I severely cut my hours. I
yeah,
got an internship in strength and conditioning with the company I work for now, Athletes Warehouse.
nice.
So I used to drive 90 minutes 3 times a week for free. Let's add this.
Call
Going
it an
across the
investment.
Yeah, going across the George Washington Bridge, paying like $15
I
every
know.
every trip. And then so I did that. I interned for basically like the spring semester, and it was kind of like my first experience with like collegiate and just working with the middle school, high school kids in
Okay.
that strength and conditioning realm. And I was just like really inspired by all the staff that's here. The guy who's the owner of Athletes Warehouse, Nick
Mhm.
Serio, he was at the time, I believe he was working and he was also doing a PhD at the same time.
Wow.
And then we had Cassie, who's another co-owner here. She had finished her master's, and she's just to give you a little background on her.
Okay.
She's
Sure.
went to Alabama, played softball, national champion.
Okay.
She was here, she was crushing it. I met another guy, Matt June, who was just like one of the most brilliant strength coaches I've ever met, and I was just like so. They all took me in, and they all taught me so much, and it actually inspired me to go back for my master's. And
Absolutely.
so I ended up
It's
going to get my
always
master's.
awesome when you walk into a place and you automatically like just feel that like you have so much to like learn from these people around you.
Oh yeah.
Like it's
I,
terrible. It's terrible for first of all like personal growth and then like expanding on yourself. If you walk in and you're like I'm the smartest person in the room, like no one here can teach me anything. Like there's nowhere for you to go unless you
yeah,
actively take a role in finding knowledge yourself. But if you like dive into like you said, you came to this place and you had all these different people with different areas of expertise and you're just like I can learn so much from these people, like it's such like an
absolutely.
awesome like enriching rewarding kind of feeling. And knowing you, I know you're the kind of person who's going to like almost get to the point where you're annoying people, like asking questions like what's this, why are we doing this, like blah blah blah,
Yep,
just because you want to know more. And in turn it turns around and you use it to help out your clients, your athletes, that kind of stuff. So that's an
absolutely.
awesome situation for you. I'm happy for you. Like it's great.
Yeah, yeah, dude. Like even when I interned here, I left and I had like kind of like other smaller jobs in the strength and conditioning realm, and I always felt like Athletes Warehouse had kind of like they were just on a different level from any other company that I had ever interacted with.
That's awesome.
And it just so happened that after I finished my master's degree, like I'm in my last month of grad school, and I'm like, oh God, I gotta find a job. Like I just spent all this money on grad school. I need to get a job. And I look literally the first day I'm looking for work, I go on Indeed, and the second or third posting is a strength and conditioning coach for Athletes Warehouse. And I was just like,
Yes.
I was like, this is like divine intervention, dude. Like it's like right there. Like it's like the first day. So I applied for it. And I think I want to say Cassie called me like it was definitely within 24 hours. And she was like,
Yeah.
hey, did you like you applied for our job?
So, hey guys,
I
it's
was like,
me.
yes. Yeah, she was like, let's set up an interview like immediately. Like I was, and then like I interviewed, I did a like an online interview first, then came in. I saw how they kind of changed the facility and even the training philosophy and everything had kind of it shifted, but it had improved so much from even when I was interning here.
Sure.
And I was like, dude, this is the place. Like I can't,
Yeah.
like I really couldn't see myself anywhere else. And then literally I graduated in like late December, I think. Last day of school was the 24th because we had to take a final on Christmas Eve, which sucked. And then January 2nd, I moved out here, and I've been working here since January 2nd, 2019.
That's awesome, man. I'm happy for it.
Yeah.
And it's cool because you said something just a second ago that I thought was pretty interesting. That it's always, even like the place itself, the culture, it's always adapting, it's always changing. And I think, again, even though I wouldn't say like the realm of strength and conditioning changes that often, there are pretty much basic principles, that are true, fundamental movements, that kind of stuff. But the philosophy behind it, if you get stuck in one mentality and like this is how we do things, this is what we do, and we don't deviate from this, it becomes stale. And the fact that you can change and adapt and understand that, all right, yeah, we're strength training athletes, but we can take from CrossFit. I know you're into Muay Thai. I'm sure there's stuff from there that you pull from and adapt into your strength training. And you take these different things and you combine it into what works best for your clients, your athletes.
Yep.
And it's awesome. So like I know, and again, this is me personally, I know you. I know that's always been kind of your mentality is you're always out seeking like more knowledge, how to be better, how to make other people better. And now you found this place that seems to just embody that, kind of mentality. It sounds like, you guys have like a great operation that's going on out there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, dude, the one thing that I will say that separates this place from anywhere else is the culture that's here is just different than anything else. Like we have so our higher level programs are called Alpha. So we have Alpha and then Female Alpha. Coach Nick is over Alpha and along with Coach Jack, and then Cassie and Coach Alexis are over the Female Alpha. The sense of community within these groups is insane. Like kids will be hitting a lift and like another kid will walk by and just cheer them on, like, hey, all right, let's go, let's get it, you got this. And that's something that I didn't really see anywhere else. Like when I was at other facilities, like people would walk by other people lifting, and instead of trying to like hype them up or encourage them more, they just walk past them and just like be in their own zone.
Well, dude, I can remember the layout of the retro fitness. You had the turf right in front of the mirror. Like someone could be like doing a lift on the turf or working out there, and someone would plant themselves right in front of them just to get a closer view of the mirror. And it's just like, what's happening? Like,
it was the worst, man. Like that's like, I'm so happy to be out of commercial gyms for that reason alone. Like just the sense of community here is amazing. It's beyond the coaches. Like the athletes that come here, they're all amazing. They're all amazing kids. And we try to, even when we get someone new who's just joining Athletes Warehouse, the one thing we try to instill in them is culture and community. Cool.
So is it all like one-on-one or like small group kind of training? Is it like can people get like memberships just to work out there, or is it all training based? Like you're all working with coaches, that kind of thing?
So there's different, there's no memberships here. Like anytime you're working with somebody, you are working with a coach.
You're with a coach. Okay.
We either do one-on-ones, partner sessions, which is 2 people, small group, which is up to 6. And then our Alpha and Female Alpha programs, they're run more similar to like a college strength and conditioning program, where there is a workout that everybody's following. Pretty much everyone's self-sufficient. And then there's variations based on just the individual person. So say like if we have a squat day, instead of writing just everyone's doing like a barbell back squat, we'll have a squat variation where you can, depending on the level of the kid who's performing the exercise, they'll either do a goblet, they can do a front squat. If they're most of our field athletes perform back squat, it's set up like that where the higher level is just a little bit more self-sufficient, and then the other levels you'll have the coach kind of watching.
Actually, like I love that. That's actually something I started doing because of everything, the COVID and whatnot, and gyms being closed. Actually, I want to ask you about that, how that was affecting you guys, but we'll get there in a second. Kristen and I, started accumulating some gym equipment. We now have a pretty self-sufficient garage gym downstairs for us. But that's awesome though, because that's how like we kind of started training ourselves. So every day, like we have like a set program of like exercises or movements that we're going to do. But the stuff I do doesn't necessarily translate to exactly what she's going to do. We're 2 different people. We have 2 different body types. We're going to train differently. So yeah, it's like a set. I love that aspect of like, all right, so we're going to be training like a squat, a hinge, and a press, and you're going to kind of use the one that works best for your body type, your sport, that kind of thing. That to me, right there, tells me that like you guys understand it. Like, it's not like
Yep.
this is what we're doing because I say so, which is, if I'm being honest, how I grew up, like in the gym. You know, and, oh my god, like in high school, I have like high school like lifting nightmares of just like,
Oh,
this is
dude.
what we're doing. You're squatting today. No one's going to teach you how to squat, but you're just going to put a bunch of weight on there and go. Wait,
Yeah,
what?
well, I mean, we grew up in that. We grew up in those times where it was like the strength coach was just the football coach because
Yeah,
the football players are always lifting,
yeah,
and it was like so. A baseball player who throws overhead is in season doing bench press. Like the worst thing for you. You get a shortened pec, and then it inhibits external rotation, and it's just like it's not good.
yeah, yeah. It was oh god, I don't even want to talk about it. I'm having like flashbacks, but there was always like the workouts like every year, like the training like changed like completely from one thing to another. There was never
Mhm.
really any like sort of actual guidelines of like tracking
Yep.
progression. We just like maxed out day one, and we maxed out at the end of the summer, and we're just like, oh, look at that, you got stronger. When we probably really didn't. Like, we probably just over that period may have actually learned how to lift a little bit better on our own.
Yep.
But
And
nothing
you
went
just
into coaching like technique or like, you know, anything like that. It was, and I 100% will say that, you know, I've had low back issues. I've had herniated discs to the point where I've actually like lost movement and functioning in my left foot, and I've rehabbed it back. Yeah, dude, it was
yeah.
not great. And I've rehabbed it back myself through
Hmm.
quality movement, through performing, you know, squats and hinges, but you know, under lightweight control, that kind of stuff. But I
Yep.
100%. No, it wasn't. I didn't hurt it specifically from there, but that was definitely like the start.
Okay.
Was not being taught to squat. Don't let your knees go past your toes, which means
Hmm.
like you're essentially hinging the weight more than you're actually squatting it. Now all that stress is on the low back, so that's 100% like where it starts, at least for me.
Yep. Yeah.
Um, so actually, I actually want to talk to you a little bit about like where would you say like most of your clientele is? Is it in that younger kind of range of kids? Is it more collegiate, kind of in between, or?
Wait, can you repeat that? You're kind of breaking up a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So I'm interested in you because we're kind of talking about like, you know, lifting in high school and we didn't really learn. So I
Hmm.
think what you're doing is incredibly important. You know, teaching like, you know, younger kids, you know, the basics, the fundamentals, form, all that kind of stuff. So
Hmm.
where would you say like most of your clientele actually like resides? Is it more younger? Like, do you even get down to like elementary, middle school? Is it more high school? Do you train more collegiate guys?
So we have it's a pretty broad spectrum here. We do have
Cool.
a lot of like middle school and high school,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have college kids, obviously, and then there's a couple professionals here. That's like our smaller pool. The
Mm-hmm.
goal that we really have is like the way Athletes Warehouse started is most of the kids who I have now in college started when they were in like that middle school, high school realm, and
Okay.
they just retention, just coming back every year to train, coming back every year to train. And as they develop, they get better. And then the kids who they play with see them getting better. And then they want to train here. And it's kind of like just funneling it into itself. So we train a broad spectrum from middle school all the way up to the professional level. With
Mm-hmm.
that high school, right now it's a lot of high school, middle school, just because everyone's back in college.
Sure.
But our summers are packed with a lot of college kids too.
That's awesome. So someone
Yeah.
who's coming in like maybe fresh, we'll say like a middle school, you know, maybe fifth, sixth grade,
Hmm.
yeah, plays baseball, plays football, plays basketball, never really touched the weight before. You know, how do you kind of get them started?
So generally, if someone comes in and they have zero experience, like a zero training experience,
Mm-hmm.
we generally start them off with individual sessions.
Mm-hmm.
That way, they work one-on-one with the coach, and the goal there is to get them acclimated to working out, teach them
Okay.
those foundational movements. We actually have a list of foundational movements that every kid who comes here needs to be able to perform.
Mm-hmm.
So once they're able to perform all those foundational movements, then they can transition into more of like a small group setting. Or if they're of age, they can go into those alpha groups.
Nice.
Yeah.
What foundational movements are? Can you not give away your special secret?
Yeah. I mean, we have so basically, I mean, it's to be
Oh,
able to hinge.
wait, hold on. You cut out for a second. Go back a second. Just start over.
All right, cool. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So I was like, I joined, then I left.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to.
No, come on, Steven. Steven, come on. Oh, let's see if we can get him back. Hold on, guys. All right, let's give us a second. Hopefully we can get him back. Nothing. There we go. All right, you there? We're good.
Yeah, dude, my Wi-Fi cut out for like a second.
God damn it, Steven. I'm gonna get you on here for an hour if it's the death of me, man. All right, so we had a little break. That's fine. Little break. Everyone caught our breath. So we're talking about foundational movements that you're teaching to these young kids that they need to learn before they can progress to lifting weights and stuff. Just take us through, just in case someone doesn't know, what movements is it, or what movements have you guys picked that you deem to be like the essential ones to teach?
What'd you say? Because you kind of cut out again.
Let's just talk about those essential movements that you were talking about that you teach the young kids.
Okay, cool.
You there?
It's on standby still.
I think we're good. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I think we're all right.
Because mine just says standby. All right.
I'm going by mine, so I'm hoping
cool.
that's not the case. But
all right,
let's just go. Well, whatever happens, happens.
All right. I think I froze again.
No, I see it.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So basically, like our foundational movements are the squat, the hinge. We're actually big on crawling.
Okay.
Dude, I have like a weird echo.
Really?
Yeah.
How about now?
It's like in my headphone.
Now? Yeah.
No, I don't hear it now.
Okay.
Oh, now it's back.
It's back.
So I'll just go over it. I'll just get it.
All right. Yeah. Do your best.
Yeah. So the squat, the hinge, obviously you need those movements in just training.
Mm-hmm.
And we're big on crawling just because it's like that neurological connection, being able to move contralaterally across the body.
Okay.
And a press, like an overhead press,
Okay.
pulling exercises. So that's vertical and horizontal. And then we have rotation, just because we deal with a lot of baseball, softball, lacrosse. Basically, there's rotation in all sports.
Sure.
So there's a rotation that you need to perform. And a carry, just strong.
Oh, come on.
Carries over.
Oh, there you are. Okay, good. You there? Yeah, I see you. You good?
Good, yeah.
Okay.
Did we freeze?
Just for a second. So carry. Finish with
All right,
carry.
cool. And then from there, we kind of just progress them. So
Okay.
for a squat, for example, first you have like the isometric, and then we go through the movement like a tempo squat. Then we progress from there.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about like isometrics, because I don't think a lot of people. I think people might know what they are, but I don't think they understand their purpose. And I think a lot of people glance over them because they think like, well, how effective could it possibly be? Like you're not actually like moving most of the time.
Yep.
So why do you choose those? And yeah, I guess I'd just sort of like elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah. So I guess at the bottom of a movement, right when you transition from that eccentric to that concentric phase, generally that's a lot of times in that weaker part of the movement of a squat is generally weaker than quarter squat.
Hold on,
Because
you're cutting in and out again.
Yeah, I think my Wi-Fi is just suck.
It's weird. Like you'll go through bursts where like you're fine. Like right now, you're moving. I see you.
Yeah.
And then it just like flickers in and out. So
Alright.
let's
I'll try again.
yeah. So bottom of the movement, that transition from concentric to eccentric contraction.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the last thing I heard was it's kind of like the weaker area of the lift.
Yeah, so it's the weaker part of the movement. So if you have somebody try to hold the bottom of a squat for like 30 to 40 seconds, it sucks. And so a lot of people, they're just weak in that position. So that's the first position that we get the kids in. And it helps us to teach that part of the movement. So it's a positional isometric.
Okay.
So we'll have them sit in the bottom of a squat, be able to maintain posture, maintain good position. And then from there we build.
Okay, I like it. And then from there, again, so we start with like the isometrics. We're doing these light movements, probably body weight, I would assume, maybe using, I don't know, with a hinge, you teach it with like a broom handle or something. I've seen that a lot.
Yep. So what we'll do a lot of time for the hinge is we'll just set different levels for depth that you can go into it.
Sure.
So when I'm first teaching the hip hinge, I will set something up where they're very high from the floor.
Okay.
So that the first step is basically to teach them how.
No, Steven. All right, I see you again. Hold on.
Yeah.
You start high from the floor, so the first step is to teach them how to
move from the hip as opposed to hinging from the low back. And that's where like a lot of things that I'm sure when we were younger, no one really went over moving from the hip. Yeah. So it's just, it was all about.
See that weight on the floor? Pick it up.
Yeah.
Oh,
basically.
all right.
So we basically try to teach function of the joint, and then we'll load the movement.
I think that's really important, because I think to a lot of people, like creating that sort of creating meaning and having them understand means that it actually like now they can process and be like, oh, okay, I'm doing this because X, Y, Z, as opposed to, well, coach told me to, so I'm going to. Like that to me, like that's not teaching. That's not helping anyone get better at anything. You got me? I gotcha. Good.
Yeah. I just froze for a little bit. I think my Wi-Fi is just going in and out.
All right, we'll power through it. We'll see until it starts to annoy us too much, and then we'll try again maybe. But anyway,
it's always episode 2.
Exactly. Anyway, so all I was saying is I like that approach again to teach, create meaning, create understanding, because that one, it lasts with people and it resonates with people, and if you can teach people to understand why they're doing something, not just because I said so, then it's something that they're more likely to apply moving forward without you in their daily life, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it also teaches them awareness, like being able to feel the portion of the movement that where it's supposed to feel it in their body, where they're not supposed to feel it. So. Yeah,
so they can kind of like self-correct, that kind of stuff. So look, we've all been there. You do a lift and you're just like, oh, that wasn't right. Like, what kind of adjustments do I need to make? I dig that. Oh, that's cool. So now let's transition. You say you got some collegiate, high-level athletes and professionals. What's it like? Yeah, what's that like? Because I feel like when everyone starts off being a personal trainer, like you're just like, I want to work with athletes. I want to work with pros. Like that's like the ultimate goal. Like
Mhm.
in your head canon or your dream, like that's where everyone wants to be at first, and then you kind of figure it out as you go. So what's that like?
Dude, it's really awesome, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. It's
It's great.
way harder because like when you get a kid who's in like middle school who's still going through development, has to go through puberty, a lot of the strength gains or any type of speed gain that they make
Mm,
is generally due to just development.
sure.
Like as much as some coach wants to claim like, oh yeah, dude, I got a second off this kid's 40 time. It's like they got older.
Yeah.
Like,
They got older.
so
Their body
when you're
got more
dealing,
efficient. A lot of the stuff I've even like been
yeah,
in. It's that like usually in like that first I don't know, maybe we'll say first year or so of training, like most of it is actually just neuromuscular. Like their body's just
mhm,
learning to function more efficiently. So your body's just like, oh, we're going to start like lifting more. I'm going to start recruiting more, muscle fibers,
yeah,
so we can do this easier. And it's not necessarily strength gains. It's just your body's just like, oh, all right, we just have to get better at this. So it just tells more of your muscle fibers to fire. uh I can't hear you. No. What happened?
so there we
Wait.
go.
Oh,
We're
what'd
good.
you do? No, Steven. I know.
We good?
Yeah, we're good now.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, my battery's low, so it like muted me.
All right. Well, let me know if you need to go. Like, let me know.
Yeah, I might have to run in like 5 minutes, but it's all good.
All right. Well, let's
Um,
let's finish up what we were talking about then.
yeah. So I
Um,
was saying like working with like the younger kids,
mhm.
all they have very, very poor spatial awareness. So a lot of time just teaching them coordination and that neuromuscular connection has a huge carryover
Sure.
as opposed to the professional level, taller,
Wait.
but
Rewind like 10 seconds at a professional
okay.
level. Oh man.
No, we going out in and out again?
Yeah, a little bit. All right. Let's wrap this up at a professional level.
Basically, for baseball,
Yeah.
1 mile per hour is the difference between double A and the majors.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
so
a big deal.
if you can get somebody to make that change, you can that's $100,000. That's $1 million to them.
Yeah. So as you get
So
to a professional level, as you're approaching that like elite status, improvements become smaller because there's
yeah,
there's there's less room for growth because you're approaching the top, of that, we'll call it sport, whatever. Yeah. So no, that's cool, and I think it's fun, and I think it's good because I think young kids want to see like growth and improvement.
mhm,
So starting off and having like large amounts of growth as for a kid, seeing themselves get better, I think to them mentally it's very helpful. But then yeah, transitioning to that like upper level, that professional collegiate athlete, like the room for growth is smaller. So every little thing counts. Like fine tuning, your clean, and like making yourself a little bit more efficiently. Did I lose you again? All right. Uh, all right. Well, I'll wrap up mine. Oh wait, there you go. Okay.
yeah, there we go.
Anyway, yes. We'll say in summation, when you get to that professional level, every little piece counts.
Yep.
Um, yeah, so I think it's awesome what you guys are doing over there. I'd love to actually come see it one time if I'm ever in the area. But thank you, man, for making this work. Even though it wasn't necessarily the smoothest, this was our third attempt. We finally did it, so I'm happy. So thank you, man, for coming. I really do appreciate it. I mean, if you want to, shout anyone out or Athletes Warehouse, Stephen Portee, you got an Instagram, all that stuff. So.
Yeah, man. So my personal Instagram is S underscore my last name Portee. That's Portee. the Athletes Warehouse Instagram, ATH_warehouse.
Awesome,
So
man.
follow us. We have some great information page, which is just all about pitching. We have Softball Strength Academy, which is basically anything related to softball and hitting. So
Dig it,
follow
man.
us. We have great information.
Yeah, I follow you guys. I love watching your page. I think what you're doing is great. So thanks, man. This was awesome. We'll definitely do this again. And yeah, man, hopefully we get better Wi-Fi next time.
Yeah, dude, I'll definitely do it at my place next time.
All right, man. I appreciate it. I'll let you go. I know you're at work,
Right.
so go back to work.
Right.
Take it
Thanks.
easy, man.
Peace.